And bear with me, people. We're going to call the meeting to order here at 7 o'clock. I see we do have some people signed for public participation, and I think we'll move right ahead to that. The first person I have on my list here is Steve. I guess you're up.
All right, the last week and a half or so, we've had, I've been hearing a lot of things about subcontracting out or contracting out other services to do other jobs in the school district that are now obtained by union members. And I personally, being an employee here in one of those job positions, I'd like to know how that came about and why it's being looked into for one reason, and how, have we done anything with it, the reason for it, and maybe if you do have some information, what the results may be.
I think I shed light on that more than anybody else. Last week in passing, just before we wrapped up the last meeting, we were talking briefly about the school budget coming up, and we had all talked about that we need to look at everything that could affect the budget. And that's all was said. That, certain areas we talked about custodians, we talked about bus drivers, we talked about different areas that we need to look at. We did not look at target any areas. We just said we need to look at those areas. And it was less than a minute conversation, and it got blown totally out of proportion. That's 99% of it right there.
Okay, so a lot of what I'm hearing is basically rumor or whatever, because
Cheap, hearsay, rumor. Because I was here, I was the one that brought it up saying, we need to start looking at stuff, and, we owe it to everybody to look at the whole picture, because, we aren't even sure what the budgets are going to be, because we haven't got the information from the state. Maybe we'll be golden this year. Maybe we aren't. And there's no sense in waiting till the last minute before and say, okay, I guess we were hoping for the best and it didn't show up. So if we're going to look at that, we need to look at everything fair to all the employees and all the taxpayers. That's all that was said. And I was the one that said it. So, okay?
yeah, I wasn't at the meeting, so like I say,
I was
second hand, being
really what you should do is, if you have a question on what was said, call one of the board members and say, what was said about this? I'm in the phone book, people know how to get a hold of me. Be glad to answer your questions. But secondhand information has a tendency to go to very unreliable. So,
okay,
Yeah,
very
we're
good.
looking at expenditures. So when and if the time comes and we do need to cut some programs or things that everybody here feels are important, we can look at our people and say, yes, we've looked at every expenditure, we've looked at every alternative, and this is the best way it's being done. And we can do that with facts. And the only way to get those facts is to have people come in, look at it, give us their estimate, tell us what they can do, and we'll look at it. And it isn't all about money. We know it's not all about money. We look at what's going to happen. And we take all of that into consideration, into heart. But we have to be sure that we can tell our constituents and our students and our faculty that we've looked at every area and be honest about it.
Right.
you wouldn't like it if someone was come in and said, we're going to cut just your position because we didn't get to look at this, or we looked at all the positions and you're the only one we wanted to get. That's not fair. So, and what we hope to do is, once we get some figures and we have an idea where to start from, we'll have to entertain all of those ideas.
Well, as vice president of our section of the union, I'm getting a lot of people coming to me and, they're scared of their job because they don't know if they have a job.
Rightfully so.
And I'm in the dark, so I cannot give them a good response because we really don't know.
Next time,
that's why I'm here asking and,
And I'll be glad to answer any of your questions. Call me up, call in, we're all there.
Okay.
So Tom's available, stuff like that.
Yeah, the board minutes, Stacia has the video, everything that's discussed is really right up.
We're on the video.
Only a little section is on, which talk only to us. No, all the videos are up.
Well, again,
That, the part that's all.
just go to the ones, to the source that was here.
They're all there.
Okay, thank you.
No
You bet,
problem.
Steve. Stacia, I think your name is up next?
Just a question, I actually have, I guess it's two-part now. As long as you're looking at everything, are we also looking at all the shared services, teachers, assistants, school psychologists? Are we
Sure, sure. Everything is gonna be looked at, for
Okay.
sure.
Now, my question is brought from last week, or 2 weeks ago, on the mileage. There was some questions batting around about mileage going to a bank to do deposits. Is there not a cheaper way we could do that? Say, I mean, we're running enough bus runs to Canton and Gouverneur. Can someone not run into the bank and
It's
save that
liability.
employer?
Not every person's insured. to carry
Right,
this.
you have to be insured to carry the any of the school's money or any of the
I
business.
mean, those are always making deposits.
Right. Yeah. But, you know, we can look it over, but it's pretty cut and dry how it has to be done. Most
Okay.
of
And
it
I
is-
know in the past, there was some instances where the bus run was dropping off bank deposits, so I was just kind of,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
You bet. Peggy?
Mine just turned into sort of a two-part question as well. Someone had made a statement that when looking at the budget, it's not just about the money. What
Right.
else is it about?
If we're sure that if it's a lesser amount, that the job's getting done. Just because it's cheaper, if the job's not getting done that we need to get done, then it's not a benefit. It's not just the money. It's that the job we need to get done gets done. And that's what we look at also.
You know, Peggy, one of the things I discovered last year was kind of the first year we did the budget, was there was so many factors that we have no control over. And the special ed budgets, laying people off and then have to hire them back because we're mandated to have this person and that person and do this. And man, we're at the end of the whip. You know, everybody controls everything but us. And that was the biggest factor I discovered all last year was we are a long ways down, you know, as far as,
And this is just my opinion, but I think Gary has definitely suffered because of some of the costs or the cuts that were made last year, but that's my opinion. So as long as this round, everything is being looked at, I think is what's important.
We'll do our best.
you know, I wish they had a way of dropping off suggestions, you know, just saying, maybe you should look at this, or maybe you should look at that. And you know, so when we're sitting around this table going, okay, before we leave the room, we've got to do this. At least be able to have the input from the taxpayers of just saying, what about this idea? What about that idea? There's a lot of contracts that I wasn't aware of before. Last year was a learning year.
I can agree with
You know, there's a lot of contracts, there's a lot of mandates, there's, you know, and I just got through reading this tax cap thing, and, we're farther down before. So, that's,
Better off not reading it.
Yeah.
what's the other part? The other part you said?
Yeah, the Boys Varsity Senior Night, I just had a couple of questions about that. Is there a school policy regarding the senior starting, or is that a coach's discretion?
I believe it's a coach's discretion, but we will check into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is coach's discretion?
Yeah.
Okay. I think a lot of parents were taken aback by that night because, I mean, since I was in school, I don't know about before me, it had always been that the seniors always started. So I know a lot of people made extra effort to be there for their children and that weren't there. There's also some information that's circulating in regards to how the seniors that didn't start came about. It's rumored that the boys captains were asked by the coach to, for those students not to volunteer not to start.
No idea. As I said, It's the coach's discretion, and I don't know if he's been questioned. If someone wants to know, I think that's a good place to start. And as far as our involvement, it's not really something that we stick our hand in.
Is there anybody else that could answer that question?
I don't know anybody here who would be familiar with that.
The reason I'm asking is, I think it's pretty unethical as a coach, if that's true, to ask, I mean, a team is supposed to be a team, you work together, you play together, and to put a student in that position, to ask their teammates to not start, I don't agree. Is there any way to find out if that is in fact true?
Michelle, did you have any discussion on that end of it? I know you talked about it in Jacqueline.
Joe talked to me and said that said something about the team, as a team, the kids were given some choices to which way they would rather prefer. And the boys chose that they would like to get into the game, but it didn't need to be as starters. But as long as they got to play, that they were okay with that. So whether it was with the coach there or the coach not there, I have no idea.
And I take it the last game was senior game was an important game, from what I understand.
It was, according to Mrs. Brewer, there have been other games where seniors have not started. According to Mrs. Brewer, there have been games, even on her softball team, where they were important games and the coach's decision in that situation was not to start the seniors. There's definitely, the coaches have been talking about it, and there's a difference of opinion from coach to coach to what their stance is on it.
I respect that. As a coach, you should have that discretion, but to put it onto the students, that's wrong. Because I know if I were that kid that didn't start and it was my last home game and it was my senior night, I wouldn't have said, no, I want to play. I really think that situation should be looked into. That's disturbing.
I can tell you from my side that Michelle, Lori, and I sat down after that event. We talked about it, and Lori was going to sit down with all of the coaches of the next sports coming up to discuss what happened, what should happen, and what every coach's feeling is, because it is no set ruling. It is up to each individual coach, but it is not the children's job to take care of every practice.
So that did happen.
I don't know if it happened. I just spoke to Lori in regards to it. Michelle and I spoke, about everybody's feelings, because we around the table all differed from what we thought. As far as if the students did, I don't know.
I just would like to squelch it. So, I mean, there's a lot of chatter about it. So it did in fact happen that way, Michelle.
What Coach Knox told me was that there was a team session. I don't know if he was there or not there for the actual discussion, but they were given 2 or 3 options, and that the boys chose to do it the way that they did it. The other thing you mentioned is that out of, are there 5 seniors?
3. 3 that did not start.
So out of the 3 that did not start, 1 was an exchange student, and the other 2 were playing for the first time ever in in the time that they were there, that they were not there. That's the coach's decision, coach's prerogative. It was a sectional game to whether, which one takes the upper hand. I can't make that decision.
But can you make the decision that a captain of a team should not be pressuring?
I don't know.
That's bullying.
I didn't get that impression from Mr. Knox that that's the way it happened. He did tell
I
me,
talked to,
and he felt good. He felt okay when he talked to me just Wednesday was at the athletic banquet, that he did not feel that he.
not start and he didn't feel okay.
What I
No,
can
he
say for
did not.
myself is, we will again sit down with Lori to make sure, when and if something like that, it will not be a student that does it. I don't know that the student did, you asked me that, I don't know that. I just know that it happened, and I know that we talked about.
So it is
we
being
will-
discussed.
Well, for that particular, I will definitely make sure Lori, Michelle, and I sit down, yeah. Because that's not something we should put down like that.
Tammy? Your name's now?
I would just like to follow up with what Peggy said. I did talk to one of those students, and I also talked to the captain, who did not say as to what Michelle said. I have a text which completely verified that he was approached by the coach, and he was asked to approach these students moments before the senior game. Moments before. I think, Misty, you could probably relate to one of these students more than anybody else could because of your dealings with foster children and children that have been rejected. One of these students has a similar situation to that. He invited his grandparents there, which was very rare to have them there. And I just want to let you guys know how this personally affected him. He invited his grandparents there, who are elderly, under the excitement and the belief that we would continue what has always happened in starting. He asked them to come, they're ill, they're elderly. It was cold like most typical soccer nights. They stayed as long as they could. Their grandson did not play, they had to leave. I felt that was just a horrible representation of our school. And the way it was handled, I felt was wrong. I just wanted to let you know that. And I do have, if you need copies of texts, I have the text where the actual student that is the captain said, in hindsight, I would not have handled this way. If I was approached by my coach to do this, I would not have handled it this way. This hurt people's feelings, something you cannot take back. You cannot give this child back this night. I came here with full intentions and completely prepared to read this to you guys. However, after careful consideration and fear of continued retaliation by this administration, I've chosen not to. My daughter has received bullying by this administration that has continued several times, and I don't feel it's right that it should continue, that because of my opinions and me standing up for what I believe in for these students and for this community, that my daughter should feel the repercussions and the bullying from our administration on this. My daughter is a National Honor Society student. She's involved in athletics. She's one of the top 10 students in her class, and she's up for scholarships. I'm not willing to risk my daughter's future for my beliefs. And how wrong is that? How wrong is it that my daughter has to feel the consequences and the bullying for what her mother does?
Definitely sorry that you feel that. I think that's all we have for public participation tonight.
Before we move on, I would like to set up a meeting with you, Tammy, if you would like to do that regarding the bullying the administration has done that affects your daughter. Because I personally take
I
that.
chose to take a different avenue in response to what's going on with my daughter.
But since I know I have no knowledge of what you're talking about at all, and then you make that accusation in a public forum, I guess I would like to know what you refer to, and if you'd like to do that, not in a
I will
public
consider
forum.
it because I've chose to take a different avenue.
You will see her statement very soon.
I
You will see her statement very soon.